Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into something absolutely massive, the largest pharmaceutical deal in Indian history. We are talking about Sun Pharma's historic $11.75 billion acquisition of US-based Organon. You know, the tectonic plates of the pharma industry are constantly shifting, but a deal of this sheer scale, it literally redraws the entire map. Let's get right into it. Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll start with the $11.75 billion megadeal itself, look at what Organon actually is, explore the strategic synergy, zoom out to India's outbound M&A boom, and finally look at this new global pharma powerhouse. And of course, stick around to share, subscribe, and comment at the end. All right, let's jump right into part one, the $11.75 billion megadeal.
$11.75 billion. I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. This massive enterprise value instantly cements this transaction as a historic milestone for Indian enterprise. It's a hugely aggressive statement of intent. Sun Pharma isn't just looking to casually participate in the global market anymore. They are deploying some serious capital to completely dominate it.
And when we look at the exact terms, it gets even more impressive. Sun Pharma is paying $14 per share. And get this, it's an all-cash transaction. That highlights incredible cash purchasing power and unshakable balance sheet strength. Now, they are targeting early 2027 to close the deal, which makes sense because, well, you have to account for all the complex global regulatory and shareholder approvals needed for a combination of this massive scale. Moving on to part two, what exactly is Organon? So what exactly is Sun Pharma getting for nearly $12 billion? Well, Organon is definitely not some scrappy startup. It's a mature, highly established player that was originally spun out of the global giant Merck back in 2021. Sun Pharma is acquiring a really robust lineup of over 70 established products. These are split across three highly lucrative categories: women's health, general medicines, and biosimilars. And if you're wondering, biosimilars are essentially highly similar, much more affordable versions of complex biological drugs. This gives Sun Pharma immediate, diversified revenue right out of the gate. But the absolutely crucial point here is the geographic footprint. By acquiring Organon, Sun Pharma gains immediate, turnkey access to patients and commercial markets in roughly 140 countries worldwide. Think about that. Building that kind of distribution network and getting organic regulatory clearance everywhere would take decades and billions of dollars. Sun Pharma is basically buying a time machine to instantly accelerate their global commercialization infrastructure. It's a real game changer.
Okay, let's look at part three, the strategic synergy.
Because, deals of this magnitude don't just happen so a company can look bigger on paper. Sun Pharma's executive chairman, Dilip Shanghvi, really emphasized that Organon's highly complementary capabilities and massive global reach create a stronger, way more diversified platform. It's all about taking Sun's existing innovative medicines and branded generics and essentially plugging them right into Organon's established global pipes. And we see the exact same optimism from the other side of the table. Organon's executive chair, Carrie Cox, noted that following their strategic review, the $14 all-cash premium provides immediate value to their shareholders. Plus, it safely transitions their vast global network of employees and patients into highly capable hands. Sun Pharma's managing director, Kirti Ganorkar, views this integration as a massive foundational building block. The ultimate goal here? To become the global partner of choice. So imagine when smaller biotech firms develop new drugs. Sun Pharma now has this unmatched 140-country platform ready to go, making them the absolute ideal commercialization partner. Over time, that is going to create some massive revenue upside. Which brings us perfectly to part four, India's outbound M&A boom. To really grasp the gravity of this deal, we have to zoom out and look at the macro trend. We're witnessing a major paradigm shift in India right now, moving from capacity to capability. See, historically, Indian firms focused heavily on building up domestic manufacturing scale. But today, they are aggressively using outbound M&A to buy global market access, established front-end brands, and deep technological expertise. They aren't just building the factories anymore, folks. They're buying the global storefronts. And Sun Pharma is riding right at the crest of this massive outbound wave. Recent data shows the current M&A wave builds on a staggering $60.2 billion domestic deal boom from 2025. But what's super interesting is that $18.2 billion was recently deployed specifically for outbound capabilities. Indian acquirers are intensely focused on strategic control and enhancing their supply chain resilience. It's a really smart way to balance their exposure against volatile cross-border trade flows. Next up, Part 5, the global pharma powerhouse. So, when the dust finally settles in early 2027, the global hierarchy is going to look completely different. Post-merger, we are looking at a projected pro forma revenue, which is the combined expected revenue of both companies, of roughly $12.4 billion. This instantly catapults Sun Pharma into a top 25 global pharmaceutical behemoth. It secures them a top 3 status in women's health, makes them the 7th largest player in the booming biosimilars market, and extends their reach to 150 countries. Just phenomenal growth. And finally, Part 6. Share, subscribe, and comment. As Indian giants like Sun Pharma aggressively pivot from providing manufacturing capacity to owning global commercial capability, we have to ask ourselves, how is this going to reshape the worldwide healthcare hierarchy over the next decade? It really feels like we're watching a historic power shift happening in real time. We would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this strategic shift. If you found this explainer helpful in breaking down the complexities of this massive $11.75 billion acquisition, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment below with your feedback. Thanks so much for learning with us today, and we'll see you in the next explainer.